Hi, everybody. I hope you're all enjoying your time at Social Media Camp. I'm assuming you are. I'm really excited to introduce Erica. Like many of you, I used to watch her on Much Music. We won't go into how long ago that was, but she was the first female VJ on Much, and that in itself is groundbreaking, and she certainly hasn't stopped there. She's a multi-talented person with, she's an award-winning songwriter, actress, playwright, author, journalist, and most importantly, yummy mummy to her 2 children. And she's married to Terry. Her transition from the busy life of a career woman to a new mom inspired her to develop yummymummy.ca, which is her website for women at all points in their journey through motherhood. I first met her 3 years ago when I started following her on Twitter. And I think I probably sort of jumped into a conversation she was having and sort of went from there. We tweeted back and forth, and it just sort of carried on from there. I learned very quickly that she's funny, smart, savvy, and very caring. She does a lot for the community and doesn't expect anything back from it. And no, she didn't ask me to tell you that, but it's very true. And if you aren't following her, you should. The first time I met her in real life was a couple of years ago when she was touring with her the book she'd co-written. It's called The Mischievous Mom at the Art Gallery. And a group of us met at the Bengal Lounge here at the hotel. And we talked, a bunch of us sat around the table and talked for hours. Like, literally, I think we were there for 4 hours and went to the book signing, and she read the book. And the first thing she said to me when I got there, we shook hands, and she said, I introduced myself, and she sort of looked blankly at me. Then I told her my Twitter handle. She goes, "Oh, you're so nice." And I'm like, okay, great. So Erica M. knows who I am. Okay. My little 13-year-old self sort of fangirled at that moment. Fortunately, I didn't, jump up and down and squeal, so it was all okay. Did I? Oh, yeah. Anyway. Maybe a little. No, fast forward to, I guess, a year ago now? I was talking to Paul, and I'm like, I wonder if I could get Erica to come. We thought that might not be a bad idea, have Erica at Social Media Camp. So I sent her an email, said, would you be interested in coming? Not expecting to get anything back. She wrote back pretty quick and said, sure. Victoria in the beginning of June sounds great. Let's make it happen. So we made it happen. I'd like to present to you Erica M.
Thank you. That was so good. Poor Catherine, I put her on the spot because she was asked to interview. What? Oh, you'll fix my thing? Thanks very much. So, when I heard that she was introducing me, I said, Kate, don't write a script. Just talk about, just read 50. No, just joking. I said, just talk about how we met, because truly that is social media. We met online and we have a relationship. And, I guess when you were 13, you never thought that you would be sort of my pen pal, if you want, or something with me. But that's what I want to talk about today, is that social media absolutely changed my life. And I would like to share with you my story. And did you screw something up?
I just need your password.
All right. Unplug it. Unplug it.
Oh, it won't show up.
All right. Sure? He's watching. A little.
Oh.
It's upside. Look what you're doing. Why is it upside down here?
Here.
Fix it. Okay, it's fixed. Okay, don't laugh at me. I'm not good at technology. I know I run a website and I live online. I have no freaking idea how anything works. So if the technology doesn't work, someone come and rescue me. So, what's wrong, Catherine? Is everything okay? Okay. Okay, we're good. So we're going to have fun. This talk will be light and frothy. You will find information that perhaps you can apply to your social media console up there, if you will. You'll be entertained and you'll want to go drinking after. So that's why this is a perfect close for your, you chose well, Paul and Chris and Catherine. So today's talk is Twitter, a guide to the social media cocktail party by me, Erica M. My Twitter handle, if you haven't figured it out yet, is @YummyMummyClub. And yes, I would love if you followed me and kept in touch with me and asked me questions after. That's why I'm going to talk a lot now. And then afterwards, we'll just have a conversation and you can ask me anything, and truly anything that you'd like. Okay, now please work. Yes. So I am not a social media expert. And a lot of people claim that they're social media experts, and so I click on their profile and they have 100 people following them, and I don't get it. I'm not a social media expert. I just love Twitter, and I would have to say, and my family would agree, that I'm somewhat addicted. Recently, people have come up to me and said, "So Erica, who tweets for you?" Seriously, they do. Because I tweet so freaking much, they think that one person cannot be doing it all the time. But I do it for two reasons. I connect on Twitter because I want to connect with people. I've made a lot of friends, so I'm in the midst of a million different conversations. And also, I run a website. Have you heard of my website yet? Do you all know about it? It's called yummymummyclub.ca. I started it 6 years ago. Before that, there was a TV show called Yummy Mummy. And I felt that there wasn't a lot of opportunities for women who had kids to connect with other moms and really celebrate and commiserate the realities of modern motherhood. So I started this little website, and now we have 40 bloggers from across the country. We're one of the biggest online magazines for women with kids, and it rocks. It's naughty and playful, but it also has a lot of amazing resources. So my job, really, I use Twitter for two reasons. For personal, but also I want people to know about my business, my company. I'm in the business of eyeballs and content creation. So for me, I use Twitter for two different purposes. I joined about 3 years ago, January 19th, 2009 to be exact. Twitter has helped me grow my business. When I jumped on Twitter, within 3 months, I had 30% increase of traffic to my website. Naturally, as it would make sense, I discovered Twitter through social media. I was on Facebook, and I'm kind of picky about who I invite onto my Facebook page. And there was this guy, Anthony Calamute, who had invited himself to my Facebook world. He was really nice when he first asked if I would be friends with him. He described who he was and what he did and that he wanted to be friends. So I let the stranger be friends with me. And he's a professor of communications in Toronto. So one day he Facebooked me. I don't know if that's the right term, but he Facebooked me and he said, "Erica, you need to get onto Twitter." I said, "What is it? I don't know." And because I don't know anything about technology. And he said, "Jump on and I'll show you around." So really, I jumped on, and he did. He delivered on what he said he would do. And the idea that social media allows you to connect with people like Anthony Calamute out of the blue, and who immediately knows me well enough to know that this would be something that would connect with me. There's like kindred spirits that are connecting right there. And I remember when I first went on Twitter, I was very nervous because I didn't understand the rules of engagement. Does that happen to anyone here when you jumped on Twitter and you go, "Now what? What do you do?" So this was my first tweet. It was, "Just signed up with Twitter, now what? Help." So for me, what's so weird is that you're going to roll your eyes. Because yes, I was on TV for many years, and yes, I interviewed lots of rock stars, but I actually have social anxiety. Believe it or not, when I go to parties, I'm the one who sits in the corner. And you could come and talk to me, and I'll talk to you, but I'm not very good at inviting myself into conversations. And it's just my personality. I'm much more of an introvert, believe it or not, in real life. When I'm working, I can go out, but in the most time, I'm quite introverted. So Twitter, and I'll talk a little bit about how, but Twitter has actually changed the way that I engage personally in real life. And it's funny because my mom, does everyone know who my mom is? No? Yes? Okay, my mom is on Twitter. Her handle is @JourneyWoman, and she's 72. She runs a website called journeywoman.com, and it's one of the best online resources for women who travel, and she freaking rocks it. She has, I think, more followers than me. She was just in Whitehorse on stage talking about social media. So my mom and I are very kindred. She knows me very well, and we were at an event together. We're sitting at a big table, and there was all kinds of media people there, and I'm chatting away with people, and my mom leans over and she whispers and says, "You're not shy anymore." And I'm like 50. It took me up to about 50 years old to figure out how to connect with people one-on-one. But it was Twitter, actually, that gave me the tools to do it. And I'm going to share with you how it has affected me. So what I want to do today is talk about the Twitter cocktail party. So we're going to talk about how everybody can use Twitter to navigate, to connect with interesting and Twitterific people, to give out your virtual business cards, but in a very meaningful way, to go beyond followers and actually create relationships. And ultimately, I want you to get lucky. You're welcome. But really, what does get lucky mean? So at a cocktail party, you think about getting lucky for one person would be different from someone else. So for one person, a cocktail party could be maybe you want to actually create a business relationship with somebody. With someone else, it's to pick up that handsome man over there and take him home. For someone else, it's you just want to connect with another mom because you're feeling very lonely. You have a specific agenda when you go to a cocktail party, and I think that Twitter is actually the same thing. I think before you even go on Twitter, or even once you're in Twitter, you need to step back and think about what is it, why are you there, and what are you trying to get out of it? So before you go to any party, for me, when I go to a party, I have an agenda. I was invited to the Huffington Post party last week. My agenda was for them to come and get me to write for them. That was my agenda in my head. It got better because Arianna Huffington was there and I got to meet her. Woohoo! Better than I thought. But that was my agenda. I wasn't there to pick up any men. I'm married, wasn't really interested. But I'm sure I saw a lot of people at that party and they were there just to party. That was their agenda. So some people want to go and get clients when they go to one of these things. Some people decide that they are going to get so drunk that is their agenda, which is good, as long as you don't drive. I think that the idea of Twitter and as a cocktail party is you have to set the parameters for it. So this is so interesting because Janie, when you were talking yesterday about YouTube videos, you kept on saying that when you present yourself, you really first of all have to know who you are and you have to believe that you are an interesting person. And on Twitter, I find a lot of people are shy and you kind of hide who you are. So an interesting little experiment that I did with myself was I was thinking, what kind of image do I want to portray when I go on Twitter? So I thought about it, and I went, well, first of all, I had to pick one word. So is there one word that can describe you? For me, it was industrious. So when I tweet, I do try and give off that impression, and I'm always sharing a bunch of different stuff that I'm working on, that I'm doing, and hopefully the illusion or the feeling of being industrious comes across, so that when you follow me, you're getting a sense of my personality. I also know what I like to talk about. I know for me, when you follow me, this is what you'll get. You'll get me talking about motherhood, you'll get me talking about business, and you'll get me talking about social media, and probably my family. When I say motherhood, I say my website. So if you look at my Twitter stream, that's what's going to be in it. And I'm pretty consistent because I want you to enjoy following me. I want you to pick me to follow because those things are of interest to you, and perhaps you're going to glean something from it. You'll learn something. You'll have a relationship with me, but I am worthwhile to you because you know who I am. I'm not just some nameless, faceless egg on Twitter, because there's many of those, and chances are you don't follow them. And if it's you who's the egg, we'll have a little discussion in a few minutes, because it's not going to serve you well at a cocktail party. So really, on Twitter, like in real life, you are the brand is you, and you have to telegraph to everybody through Twitter who you are. And for me, it's not hard because I like to speak loud. But for the average person, if you don't know how to speak loud and tell good stories, it can be challenging. So here's what you have to do. You have to understand that you take your own brand test. If someone meets you in real life, are they meeting the same person that's tweeting? So let's talk about your avatar. Do you have an avatar? Do you have the image? Or are you an egg? If you're an egg, that's not very useful because people don't know who you are, and they're not going to really communicate with you because you could be a spam bot to begin with. So first of all, you want to find an image that truly reflects who you are. And if you're a brand, you probably want to have an image of yourself in conjunction with your brand if possible. So you make it more personal. I think that's really important. At least for me, when I follow someone, I don't follow anybody with just the brand, because I feel like I'm following a company that's nameless and faceless. So I want to see someone. I also want to know, when I look at your Twitter stream, I'm going to look and see who you are. Your Twitter stream is going to tell me a story. And I love when I find someone who I've never met before, whose avatar is very much in keeping with their Twitter stream, and it all tells me a story. It tells me who you are. I may not like you. That's okay, because someone else will like you. But you have to be yourself, because there are so many people out there in the world of social media. Everyone is trying to connect with like-minded individuals. So, as my husband so beautifully puts it, there's a seat for every toilet. So, you can't pretend to be somebody else. You have to be very proud and comfortable with who you are and the image that you want to portray to, at the beginning, strangers who will eventually become your virtual friends. So, unmarketing. Does anybody follow unmarketing? Yes, he deserves applause. Great guy. So I met him about 3 years ago, and he really is the same person when you meet him in person as you meet him online. He is pig-headed. He's like a teenager that never grew up, single-minded, very brilliant, has a very strong opinion, and you'll get the exact same person when you talk to him one-on-one that you do on Twitter. There's another person, her name used to be, or her Twitter handle used to be Mom Mag Rocks, and she changed it recently to I Am Fierce. Her real name is Tamara Plant. And Tamara is based out of Edmonton. She's a hoot. Man, she swears the whole time. Most of her tweets are done in bold and in capitals. Like, she yells the whole time. She swears. She insults people in a good way when it's necessary. She's fiercely feminist. She loves to drink. She loves coffee. If you follow Tamara, you're going to get Tamara. And when you meet her in real life, you get that big personality as well. I love her. Some people don't like her. So online, they can't handle that very big personality. But what I love is she is who she is, and you are Tamara 100%. And on the other hand, there's a woman named Carla Young. Does anybody follow Carla Young? So Carla Young is lovely. She's based out of Calgary. She runs a website called Momio, and Carla her tweets are highly intelligent, they're practical, they're useful, and in person, she's the same. Lovely, demure, highly intelligent, lovely conversationalist, same person online as in Twitter. And I think that to me is the beginning of having a really successful time and having fun, because you don't have to watch your words. Because if you pretend to be somebody else, then you're always going to say, oh my God, does that make sense? You won't have to always edit yourself because you're just being you. First impressions do count. I can't tell you the number of times people tweet me. This is what they go, at Yummy Mummy Club. I have a great contest. I'd love for you to share with your friends. Thanks. Sorry? You are who? Have we met? Do I know you? It's like someone banging on my door who has never introduced themselves to me and yells at me to promote their product to my friends. Have you done it? Anybody in this room done it? Good. Because it is so insulting. Like, it's not, social media, Twitter, I don't think it's a game. I find like it's real life. It's real conversations with real people. And every tweet that you send out is very much like you walking up to somebody at a conference or a cocktail party and behaving like that. You don't ever do that in real life. You never walk up to somebody and say, hi, Erica. Could you please promote this contest to all your readers? See you later. Right? So I think that person is a jerk. I don't want to engage with that person at all. There's another way of doing it. There's, hey, Erica, how's it going? I loved your last tweet. Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm a mom of 2. Oh, really? Right, Catherine, this is the kind of conversation we have. Yeah, I'm a mom of 2. Really? Yeah, I have a small business. Oh, really? What is it? We're having a conversation. Oh, I have a soap company, and we're running this big contest. It would be really awesome if you can help me to promote it to your friends. Sure, send me the link. Huge difference. Power of Twitter, power of relationships, and listen, you have to start relationships with people on Twitter. This is how I learned to be social. You have to start every relationship from scratch on Twitter. And it's an amazing opportunity to meet new people, but you have to do it properly. Yeah, this is funny. It says, like, tweet responsibly. So I think one thing that people don't do, at least to me, is when you follow someone, what do? You press the follow button, right? And then you wait for the other people to follow you back. True? Bad strategy. Because what happens, you press that button, but a lot of other people are pressing that follow button too, and I actually don't even know that you're following me. For some reason, I don't even get any emails or anything. So there are a few people who take the time to follow me, and they go, hey, Erica, I just saw you at SMS camp or SM camp. I'd love for you to follow me. Or, hey, Erica, I get your newsletter at Yummy Mummy Club. I'd love for you to follow me or something. Or I'm following you now. So again, they're walking up to me at a cocktail party and they're actually starting a conversation. They're giving me a reason to follow them. Hopefully they have an avatar, they have a good description of who they are, and then I'm going to go to their profile and I'm going to read their whole Twitter stream. I'm going to just scroll down like this, back and forth, and I'm going to see who they are. Then maybe I'll follow them. But I don't follow everyone. Does anyone here follow everyone who follows them? Anyone do that? Anyone? Not one person does. Interesting. So the question is, what makes you follow somebody? Same thing as what makes you want to be a friend with someone. What is attractive about that person? Can they help you in some way in your business? Can they help you personally? Do they seem like they'd be a good friend? I mean, that's what's going to connect you to that person. So you have to remember that they're thinking that about you too. I think that for me, it's the people who take the time, like Catherine, to engage. Those are the people that I think are uber successful on Twitter. Scott Stratton is like that. I don't know if he is as much now because he has so many people that follow him, but he really engages with people. So another really important thing or one of the things that I love about social media is that it's the great equalizer. So I know, just in terms of a broadcaster, I used to work at Much Music. And in the world of Much Music, those days of Much Music and CTV and all the really big broadcasters, the way that media worked is we produce for you, you watch. We produce some more, you watch. We do, you listen. And then through the years, luckily for all of us, the tables have turned. And now it's, we produce, will you watch please? And by the way, tell us what you think, and you can be a part of it now. And then there's also, actually, we don't want to watch you producing. We're going to create our own content, and you can watch us. How about that? Social media, technology, it's the great equalizer. For me to run a website now that is competitive with Rogers Broadcasting is amazing. I'm just one mom. They're a huge corporation, but because of technology and tools like social media, we can compete. The smaller businesses have the opportunity for big audiences, but we have to make the first move. We have to be very proactive, and I don't know, is the word aggressive? Are you comfortable with that word? You know, some people don't even like the word ambitious. They think that it's negative. I think it's great. You have such amazing opportunities. You have amazing opportunities to connect with anybody you want online right now. So Catherine's a good example. So I'm frickin' Erica M. But, you know, I know it's really a big deal. But the point is, if someone is online, you can connect with them now. That's amazing. So just a few weeks ago, there's a woman that I know. Her name is Erica Diamond. Her Twitter handle is Woman on the Fence. Nice girl from Montreal. And, you know, Oprah came to Toronto about a month ago. So Erica tweeted her something about, it's a beautiful day today, or did you take a shower yet, or something somewhat just general. Didn't Oprah go and tweet her back? Yeah, she tweeted her back. Oprah tweeted my friend back. And then Erica was at the show. I was there too, many rows behind her. And didn't Oprah go, and who was that person who tweeted me about that shower and we were talking? And Erica stands up in this huge auditorium, Oprah talking to her. Yes, I was jealous. But the point is, you can talk to anybody. So how do you do it? It's really interesting. I'm going to use me as an example. I tweet out stuff all the time from my website. Here's a great article, here's a good story, enter this contest. Occasionally, there are people who, I don't know what it is about them, but they have the balls to email me back or to tweet me back and say, wow, that was a really great article, except blah, blah, blah. They made some sort of comment, or, you know, I wrote something on my blog that was kind of similar, or blah, blah, blah. Literally, they started a conversation with me. And it happened to me, I remember, a year ago. There was this one woman, so I sent out this tweet. She responded. So I emailed her or tweeted her back and forth. After about 8 back and forths, because it was almost like playing tennis. She was really good. She was a great conversationalist. And I went, who are you? And she said, oh, my name's Kat. I was like, do you want to go for coffee sometime? That was me asking her. She's like, yeah, okay. So we went on a date. And Kat was awesome. And became my new friend. She also, I hired her for a Yummy Mummy Club. And she writes a blog now called Trying Times. So if you've been to the website, that's Kat Inakai. And she also is that very talented person who put together the graphics for this. Met her on Twitter. And we became connected because she had an amazing she has an amazing ability to converse and to start conversations and to engage me. So if you want to exceed and excel in the world of social media, you need to engage people. It's the art of conversation. It's as simple as that. It's being who you are, listening to other people, and starting conversations with them and making them real. Don't sell them anything, nothing like that. You can sell them later once you actually have a relationship with them. And I'm talking right now to people who have brands, who are trying to connect with new customers. You don't need to sell them right away. They want to get to know you first. And don't make me feel like you're trying to sell me. Let me first just get to know you. And then I relax a little bit. And then I'm more receptive to anything else that you have to share with me. But the big important takeaway here is you can talk to anyone these days. And you need to take advantage of that. So first of all, how do you do it? You have to get out there. You have to be the one who starts the conversations. And there are people who go, well, no one talks to me. Well, here's a little secret about Twitter. If you're not in the conversation, you're not on Twitter. But there's another way of looking at it. You may actually be on Twitter and you want to be a lurker. There's many people who use Twitter simply as an opportunity to follow people. You use it as a news feed. That's totally fine. But you're not going to engage people. Don't expect to sell anybody anything or to make a relationship and have that kind of engagement. So the wallflower thing in Twitter, it doesn't work because basically you're invisible. So if you want to have any kind of presence or use Twitter for anything, you have to engage. This one, she emails people. She goes, how are you this morning? Out of the blue. She has nothing really important to say, but it doesn't matter. She's starting a conversation. Oh, there she is again. There's Catherine again. Top of mind, Catherine. It's awesome. Because she's nice. Like I said 2 years ago, she's nice. That's Catherine. So you need to be able to throw all your insecurities, your social anxieties away, because I know you all have it. Well, why would she want to talk to me? Why would he want to talk to me? You have to throw all that away. And you have to give yourself the courage to know that people do want to talk to you, and also they're all thinking the same thing. No one's talking to me. So when you have to think about the fact that if you talk to someone directly, it's a gift, because who doesn't like getting an @ right? Who doesn't like getting added on Twitter? It's so much fun, particularly if it's from a stranger who's read one of your posts or seen something that you said and is commenting or connecting with you. That's what Twitter's all about. So you have to put your own sort of insecurities away and do it for the other person and start that relationship. There is a theme here of engaging. And here's another really important part about Twitter. Shh, don't talk. Listen. When I go to cocktail parties, sometimes I'll ask someone like, so, how are you today? Or how are your kids? Or how's your job? And the person talks my ear off. It's great. I learn everything that I wanted to know about that person. And then they walk away. They don't ask me how I am. And I feel kind of, I don't know, my feelings get hurt actually, because don't you care about me? Don't you want to ask me a question? So again, it's all about relationships when you're on Twitter. You need to have that conversation where you're listening to people and you ask them questions because you've just heard what they said. And then that other person goes, wow, they're actually paying attention to what I'm saying. If you're a brand and you're following certain people and you just go, like, I know Kraft does it to me. They're awesome. Kraft Canada, that big, ugly company, processed foods, etc., potentially, right? They don't usually have a great reputation in social media, except last year they started a Twitter feed, and the person behind the Twitter feed is a mom of 2 that lives in Toronto, and she actually cares about all the mom bloggers that she's following. So she'll watch their Twitter feed, and if something happens, she'll go, oh my God, are you okay? Or, so how's your daughter? Does she still have the measles or something? She's watching the Twitter feed, and she's building a relationship. So when Kraft has an event, all the moms go now because they feel like they've been heard, that Kraft actually does care about them. That one mom Twitter person from Kraft is affecting all these mom bloggers. She's so good at her job. Even I go to those events now. but she listens and she connects authentically to all of us. So social media is a conversation, like a cocktail party. You need to create conversations. You can't just push content. So for me, that's important for me because I am a content creator. Anybody else here create content? Oh, look at all of you. So what do you want to do all day long? You want to push out your content so people will read it and go to your site. That's your agenda, right? If you talk about the agenda, what am I trying to achieve here? But I'm way more likely to click on your link if you've clicked on mine, or if you have commented on something of mine, or if you've engaged with me previously. That's a fact, because we're all human. You need to nurture your relationships, and you need to think about quality. So you know how there's that stereotype of people tweeting about what they had for lunch? Well, it's actually true. I see people's Twitter feeds, and they do talk about those, let's call them, not necessarily all that intriguing. They send out stuff which is probably less than interesting. Here's the thing, don't do it, because you're adding to the noise and the clutter. And again, if I'm going to follow you or unfollow you, I'm going to look at your Twitter stream. And if it's useful to me, I'll follow you. If it's a bunch of stuff about yourself that doesn't apply to me whatsoever and I can't learn from, I'm not going to follow you. So think about it. How do you want to use Twitter? Do you want to use it as, I don't actually care if anybody follows me. I just want to send out all these little missives about myself. That's fine. But understand that we're looking at your Twitter stream and we're going, nah, boring. So I think that one of the things that makes me happy and what really connected me to Twitter was the concept of reciprocity. So I used to call Twitter Pleasantville until people started getting really nasty. And then it wasn't so pleasant anymore. People didn't understand the rules of social media, which is be nice all the time, no matter what. Even if you're angry, if someone says something that you don't like, walk away. Walk away. Don't engage with the negativity. Walk away. Sometimes we talk about it. We see like, oh, did you see so-and-so and so-and-so having a fight online? Don't do it. Trust me. If you don't like what someone says, take it offline. DM them. Email them. Don't do it. You're in public. Be very careful about what you say. But when someone does something good for you, do that in public. Thank them in public. If someone retweets something that you said, thank them for it. If someone comments on what you said, thank them for it. If someone is asking, like I do this all the time, oh my God, my computer broke again. What do I do? What button do I press? And seriously, 20 people respond in about 6 minutes with a fix, with a solution. It's so lovely. It's that community, that online community that I adore. And then I do the same. If someone asks a question where I know the answer, even if that person is a stranger, I give them the answer. That's what makes social media so lovely to be in. Happier than in my real life sometimes, because everyone is so kind and generous. And you're a part of that community, and you need to keep that community positive. Negativity, don't bring it online, please. It's my happy place. This is Kat and I were saying, like, do random acts of kindness, and you will be repaid karmically in so many ways online. So this is one of my favorite companies. Yay, WestJet. Go WestJet. If I ever have to fly, I fly WestJet. Why? Because of little things like, I was in Miami about a month ago for a conference, and we were driving to the airport, and the taxi driver didn't know which terminal WestJet flew out of. So I tweet, hey WestJet, any idea which terminal you fly out of in Miami? 10 minutes later, Terminal 5. Why would I fly with any other airline? So if you look, I just took a screenshot of a typical WestJet feed. I love them. If you notice, what they do is they send out some of their promotions, but they respond to people, they give people information, they wish them well on their trip, they talk to them like they're people, which is crazy, right? Because it's a big company, but it's a really nice guy from WestJet. I think his name is Greg, and he talks to people on behalf of WestJet. And literally, I fly with WestJet just so that I know that if anything is wrong, they'll reply. But it's funny because one of my my slides later on, I'm going to show you something with a different airline. It's not Air Canada, where I had not a very good experience, and I'll explain why. I think that when you're tweeting, have something to say. That's like coming to the party without anything. If you don't come to a party with nothing on your tray, so when you're tweeting, have something to say. I mean, that makes you worthy of being followed. Why would I follow someone who has nothing to say? So another thing that I think is really delightful online, and I think is part of my, call it success online, is that I'm actually very passionate about it, and I do have, like I love connecting with new moms, and I love connecting with really smart women. I love talking business. So when you go to my Twitter stream, as I said before, those are the things that you'll find in my Twitter stream. And I love finding people who have their own passions online. So for example, those two girls, they're based in Ottawa, so they're based in Ontario. And when you follow them, all their tweets are happy. They're always promoting other people and talking about the sun shining, and they're talking about various philanthropic events, and they hold events, that little tweet ups and stuff to make people feel good. I know I will always follow them because they make the world a better place. YMC Bookalicious, she's our book blogger at Yummy Mummy Club. We have 40 bloggers from across the country. So Wanda is crazy about books. So if you follow her, you're bound to find some new books. She always tweets about new authors, etc. I know that Wanda is the resource to go to, and she's consistent. So she makes it worthwhile to follow her. And then there's Crazy Cocktail Diva. Anybody follow her? She's kooky, right? Absolutely kooky. She's so much fun. She's a mom of 4, based in Ontario. She's a mixologist. She loves booze. She loves it. She talks about booze all the time. She wakes up, she goes, woohoo, it's vodka time. I don't know if she actually drinks all the time, but she tweets about it all the time, and she's fully entertaining. But at the same time, she is a huge heart and very philanthropic. So when you watch her Twitter feed, you know that you're either going to get these really heartfelt stories about making the world a better place and booze. So she's a blast to follow. She's got a huge personality. Very, very passionate. So when you go home, look at your timeline, because your timeline tells your story. It tells everyone who you are. It tells people what you're interested in. It tells them how engaged you are with other people. It tells them if you have anything interesting to say. And sometimes you don't, by the way, you don't have to have something of, major impact, but you have to converse with people and have interesting comments with people. You have to have something. You want to be a good conversationalist, or you want to be the person who has great content that you're pushing out, whatever it is, or you have a great product. Don't just talk about your product, though, because if you talk just about your product, that's not a value to me. I want to see if you're going to have a relationship with me. So for me, business success is not measured by the number of followers you have. It's by the engagement, which means it's by the relationship. That's why WestJet is so successful, because their readers, their followers, engage with them deeply. Other brands, what happens is they do a promotion or something, and they get a ton of followers, and then they go, well, that promotion's over, and they just leave that Twitter. They leave their handle. It becomes sort of vacant. So people unfollow, they're disconnected. And then sometimes what happens is, so you started a relationship, and I know that I'm following this company, and then I have a problem with that product. But that's okay, because I'm following you on Twitter. So I tweet you, but you're not there. And that's not good, because then you're ignoring me. And that's like my friend is ignoring me, because you've built up a relationship you've built a relationship up with me when it was convenient for you. And now that I need you, you're not there. So not only are you not doing your job, but you're making me personally angry. My relationship is wrecked. My feelings are hurt. And that's when you see all these people blasting on Twitter because the companies aren't responding to them. That's because their feelings are hurt, because they were friends before when it was convenient. When it's not convenient, they're not there. You need to leave your business card at the front door, but don't push it on people. So here's very simple. Okay, if you want to have a deep business relationship, then listen to them. If you want to have people listen to you, then respond to them. If you want to have people click on your links, then click on their links. Even if you're a big brand, even if you're a business company, you want to be human. And you want to have people engage with you, then you want to engage with them. You need to be there to do that. So here's my interesting story. I don't know, Mother's Day, I was flying, do you know Porter Airlines? It's a really good airline. The women are all dressed up like madmen, and there's a special lounge, and you get free Starbucks coffee and cookies. It's an awesome airline. So I was hosting an event, and I forgot that it was Mother's Day, so I left first thing in the morning to go back to Toronto, and my plane was delayed. They had a mechanical problem. It happens. I'm okay with it. But it's 2 hours later, and the people on the ground haven't actually told us what's happening yet. So I tweet out, "Hey, Porter Airlines, what's going on? It's Mother's Day. I'd like to go home to see my kids." Meanwhile, the people at the desk are going, "We don't know what's happening." And it's the hours are ticking. I'm starting to get really angry. I start on Twitter like, "Hey, does anybody know if Porter Airlines is around?" And then, of course, all my followers that I've built a relationship for are furious that I can't be there for Mother's Day. So it starts growing. Everyone's yelling, "Hey, Porter!" Porter's doesn't work on Sunday. Their social media person doesn't work on Sunday. And here's an interesting thing. They were sold out. Like, the reason why I couldn't get home is because our plane was broken. They had 8 other flights that day, but they were all sold out. How can you not have your social media person working when you have so many flights flying that are sold out? So, of course, this was not pretty. And then they wouldn't refund, like blah, 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 right? It wasn't well handled. So I got an email from them the next day. "We heard that you were having problems. We're really sorry. They put a little bit of money into my Porter account for all my," so I wrote a blog about it. And but I didn't diss them, really. I just said, where were you guys? If you're going to have a Twitter account, you need to be there. If you're going to run a business, customer service, like, who was it? Was it Janie that you said, or who said, we don't buy from companies, we buy from people. That's why you're using Twitter, right? You as businesses are using it to humanize yourselves to us. So remember that you need to be there on the other end as well and act like humans when we have a problem. This is me as a customer now, as a customer with a big mouth. Because now we all have big mouths, because we have followers on Twitter. So you have to take care of us if you're going to build a relationship with us. And I think it's really important that you take it full circle. So this is full circle right here. This is meeting people face to face, taking the online and going offline with it. Because when I met Catherine 2 years ago, our relationship changed because I met her face to face and I was like, "Oh my God, you're really that nice. Look at who you are." And I met like 20 people that day, and all those people are more meaningful to me on Twitter as well. So if you have a business, it behooves you to find opportunities to try and meet people in real life, to try and get them into your stores, to do something for them, or to have Twitter parties with just gals. So I'm talking here just personally. Try and and find opportunities to meet people. Go to these kinds of events are fantastic because it's obviously like-minded people already. I was at Mom 2.0 and had such a good time because there were all these crazy women, all of us walking around with our iPhones in front of us, bumping into each other because we're so busy looking at our Twitter feed and our emails. It's really important to take things, it's funny, like be old-fashioned. Because in some ways, Twitter is very old-fashioned because it's about having conversations, but then it really deepens when you meet people in person. So final words from an addict, which is me. The most important thing on Twitter is to be yourself, to have real, genuine conversations. It's about making personal connections with other like-minded individuals, and for better or worse, get comfortable in your own Twitter skin because it's all about how you choose to interact. That's going to define the kind of relationships that you have online and your success. And I loved this tweet I had sent out saying, someone will always be prettier, smarter, younger than you, but they will never be you. And then Amanda retweeted it and said, and I'm effing awesome. And that's the attitude you need on Twitter. You got to just be comfortable in your skin and start having fun and loosen off and really have conversations. Don't be afraid what other people are going to think about you. And you can have an amazing time meeting new friends and new relationships. By the way, I didn't mention that my bloggers, I have 40 bloggers on Yummy Mummy. About 38 of them I hired through Twitter. So the opportunities are endless, but you have to put yourself out there to reap the benefits. So now I'm going to put it out to you. You have me here, somewhat captive. If you want to ask me any questions, someone going to hold the mic and run around. Let's make Paul run. If anyone has questions. You want to use this one?
It's green, right? That's good. Can we get it on? Hello?
We're having technical difficulties.
Thanks so much. I guess my question that we get a lot as well from our nonprofit members as far as being on Twitter for a nonprofit is how can you be there all the time and make sure that you're staying involved in the conversations, because we're all so busy and our lives are all so full that how do you manage that? How do you do that?
So the question, how do you manage that? Well, that's the thing, is that if you're going to use Twitter, you got to be there. So you have to come up with a strategy where people are on shifts, for example, and that so-and-so is handling this time and so-and-so is handling this time. Otherwise, that Porter incident is going to happen to you in some way. So if you're going to jump in, you have to jump in with both feet. You can't be on Twitter part-time. If you're starting, the worst thing is, you start a conversation, if a company tweets to someone and even begins a conversation, asks them like, how was your day or how was your daughter? And someone responds to Kraft Canada and says, oh, she's really sick, she was in the hospital. And then Kraft doesn't respond to that. That's a problem. So my point being, not that you have to be on 24/7, but you need to have someone checking in. You don't have to be sending stuff out, but you do have to check your stream if you're in conversations with people, because when you go to a cocktail party and someone asks you a question, you give an answer.
I got my TC10K shirt on, so.
It's quick, it's just a follow-up. But what if you're one person? Like one person doing it?
I'm one person, and people say, who tweets for you? So I committed. I use Hootsuite, yeah, because it's Canadian. And but it's important for me to also, I walk around with my phone, and at least every hour I check my responses to see if anybody needs. So, now sometimes people just say, they just sort of say something to you, and it doesn't require a response. But, let's say you're out for a few days. You can always say, oh, I'm so sorry, I missed, you're a human being. So you can have those kinds of conversations. But I just mean in general, if you're going to have a conversation, you need to be there to respond. You need to commit. It's not sadly, Twitter is not like a part-time thing. If you really want to succeed at it and make it effective, I think, like Catherine, look, she hasn't gotten off Twitter. She's been on the whole time. But because she understands that she's in the middle of having conversations with people right now. Oh, I don't load it I'll every once in a while, like if there's an article, I go, oh my God, I must tweet that one out. I'll load it up. But mostly I schedule a few, but it's mostly conversation. If you look at my Twitter stream, you'll see it's not a really good indication right now because I'm not actually tweeting out any content right now because I'm here and I'm trying to be in the moment, which sometimes I'm not. So I'm really trying to focus on not tweeting out content. But on an average day, you'll see me like content, respond, question to someone. And I do it consciously, by the way. I really am conscious of what my Twitter stream would look like for someone who might want to follow me in real time. Yeah. Anybody else?
Over here. Oh, sorry.
You'll be next.
So as someone who tweets a lot and is online a lot and has a very public persona, not just on Twitter, but also on Facebook and the blogs and the commentary that I imagine you deal with, have you ever come across any incidents of harassment or stalking or anything like that? And how did you deal with that, both in public and behind the scenes, if you did?
No, luckily, we're Canadian, so people are really quite nice. But when I have had a few people who have said nasty things to me, seriously, so rarely, I just ignore them. Because as soon as you respond, then people will go, oh, what did that person say? But if you say nothing, no one gets to see them. So that's really important for you to know that if you get, we call them trolls, if someone says something negative to you that you think is really distasteful, just ignore them. They can't get you, right? But as soon as you respond, you give them the spotlight.
Erica.
Hi, Erica. Oh, geez, sorry about that, guys. I'm not a yummy mummy. I've got one at home. And you also said that we could ask you anything.
Yes.
So when you were on Much Music...
I'm good with it. It's okay. I'm good with it. Yeah.
By the way, you look fantastic and you haven't changed. It's a wonderful thing.
Amazing when people stand far away from you and they're sort of projecting the youth on, but thank you. Okay, good.
Well, yeah, okay. So when you were on Much Music with J.D. Roberts, did you ever think that he would wind up on CNN?
Well, kind of, yeah, in a way.
Really?
Did you know that he did the news after he left Much Music? He is incredibly hardworking. And when he worked at Much Music, he wasn't like a rock guy. He was a serious broadcaster, and he took himself very seriously. And then when he moved to the news, and then he moved to the States, you can kind of see a trajectory there. And on a personal note, he was one of my mentors. I worked very closely with him. And he instilled a work ethic in me that has served me very well, because the success that I experience at Yummy Mummy Club right now is only because I'm frickin' pulling a bus every day. And you need to, if for those of you who have a small business, it's relentless hard work. And if you drop the ball for a day, your bus slides back. So my experience at Much Music and the work that I did there really set the groundwork for me being able to create something on my own and work all the time.
Hey, Erica. Thanks for a great presentation. I'm a total newbie at Twitter, and I'm just wondering, what's your advice on picking a handle? I see some people use their name, and other people use these like caffeinated_mom. What's the best thing to do?
I think that a lot of people who use caffeinated_mom regret it. And I'll tell you a cute story. Look at him go. Go. About 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, we had a surprise party for my editor, Sharon DeVellis, at Sharon DV, for those of you who, I know you love her. I know I love her too. And it was a surprise party with all of our Twitter friends who we had never met before. So we invited everybody via Twitter, and they all showed up at Sharon's house and surprised her. And one of the girls showed up, and I was so happy to see her. And I said, Erin, it's so great to see you. She said, actually, my name is Natalie. But her Twitter handle was Erin Mills Living. Erin Mills is a street in Toronto. And she eventually changed it. So it's such a good question, because I forgot to address that. But you need to think very hard about how people are going to call you, right, Catherine? No one calls her Catherine. Everybody calls her GD Geek in the world of Twitter. I don't even know her name. Like, I happen to know her name because I've spent a lot of time with her. But people know you solely by your Twitter name. When you go to parties, they're going to call you by your Twitter handle. And in fact, there's a bit of a problem, because I just hired a new pop culture blogger. She's fantastic. Her name is Kat Armstrong. Her Twitter handle is kitten_arms. And I'm trying to think, how do I broach it that she should somehow change it to something a little more, better. But then I thought, well, pop culture is sort of obscure, and kitten arms, but where did she get that from? And when I see her, I want to call her Kitten Arms. But her name is Kat. So I do think that your Twitter handle is really important. I think you should just use your name, personally. Because it's almost, I find Twitter is very visual. And sometimes I don't even remember what your handle is, but I see it. So I think names are good. If you can't get your name, then you have to be a little more creative. I don't like all the underscores and everything because I don't like typing them. So you want to come up with a name that's short and easy with as few underscores, and you want to come up with something memorable. Because if it's not your name, we have to remember it. Don't you hate that when you go, oh my God, what's that person's Twitter handle again? So make it easy and snappy.
Hi, Erica.
Oh, hi.
It's Lori King here, and my Twitter handle is one Lori King. Unfortunately, regular Lori King was taken. When you were putting your blog together and starting out, what were some of the motivations and inspirations for you? Because I would like to do something similar with a more business focus for women, because I find you have a nice selection on yours, but a lot of mommy blogs kind of lend to this domestic goddess section, whereas there's moms like us who like to read business books and social media. So when you were looking for your ideas, what did you put together and what motivated you?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad you brought that up, because are there any women here, moms, who own a small business? Do you all know about the contest that's running on the website that's closing today? Today's Saturday. Tomorrow night at midnight. $1,000 prize from UPS on all their printing, on their shipping. It's a contest for mompreneurs. And basically all you need to do is tell us the story of your business, how you started it and the challenges that you face. And there haven't been a lot of entries. So I'm just letting you know, little inside scoop here, but you got to go home and do it because it has to be up by midnight tomorrow night. When I started my website 6 years ago, it was because I had a very difficult time adjusting to motherhood, and I didn't understand why all the parenting websites were always speaking about the kids. I'm thinking, the kids are fine. It's us that are freaking out. Why is no one talking about how hard it is to be a mother? Why is no one talking about how motherhood is the biggest change you'll ever go through in your life? Physically, emotionally, physiologically. You change your jobs, you change your relationships, everything. So I just started by myself to type, and I did 300 pages, and then I decided to hire someone, and it just started to grow. But what the website is for me now is life seen through the prism of motherhood. That's why I have 40 different bloggers who all have different expertise. So I've got a music blogger, and I have a fitness blogger, and I have my health blogger is here. Dr. Kim Foster is here. She's a mom of 2. She lives here in Victoria. And met her on Twitter. I stalked her, picked her up, and hired her. True? Yep. I called her one day. Hi, it's Erica M. What? Yep. It's crazy. But the idea is, for me, is that I find people who have passion, and again, on Twitter, it's very evident who does and who doesn't, and they write about what they love. So for you, you are that person. So you just start doing it. Now there are all these amazing, WordPress and all that. You just do it. And start, connecting with like-minded people. Find people like yourself, women in business. There's a ton of women. Just follow everyone that Mommy O follows, because that's her business, right? Women in business.
Last one.
Okay.
Hi, Erica. I'm Mary Catherine, and I actually go back to 99 Queen Street East.
Whoa. Seriously?
Seriously.
You were working there?
I was there. I was at TVB at the time.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, that's not my question. My question is, I have a fabulous niece who is a doula and runs an organization, but she's been a Facebook addict for years, and she's just started on Twitter, just started on LinkedIn, but she does the same thing for everyone. She'll put Facebook links on her Twitter, and it just doesn't look good. What can I tell her?
Tell her not to do it.
Yeah. Other than that.
I mean, tell her, I think, personally, Facebook are for the friends you already have, and Twitter are for the friends you're going to have, or the connections. Yeah. She needs new connections. Yeah. So Facebook is not her medium if she's trying to build a business. So she needs to create tweets that are 120 characters, no more than that. You know that, right? Because if you want to be retweeted, if you do anything more than 120 characters, it will be cut off at the end, and it's probably your link to the content that you want them to click on that will be cut off. Don't make me shorten it for you. Don't make a tweet longer than 120 characters if you want me to retweet it. So I think a tweet has to be sculpted in a particular way. Facebook can be long. It's a totally different thing. And LinkedIn is a totally different audience. That's a business audience. So it's not authentic. You're not having a real conversation if you're using the same medium to send out 3 messages that don't make sense on all 3, right? That's the whole point, is that you need to type it out and you need to think about who you're sending it out to. You're trying to connect, for me, to moms, and I'm trying to connect to working moms, to dads. Love the dads. But I think about it when I tweet, and I don't do the Facebook and the Twitter thing, even though on Hootsuite you can do that. You could send it out to both. I don't do it because it just doesn't jive. Okay, I'm cut off. So if you want to talk to me after, I'll be around here for a little while. And thank you all so much for having me here. It was really great getting away from my kids. And and just having a little bit of fun and talking about what I love, which is Yummy Mummy Club and Twitter, and just connecting with so many people. So thank you all very much.